Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Such a bittersweet moment to stand here on the platform and feeling so the love and the words of light that really come through Cerise, and to miss her presence here. And so we take a breath. We take a breath today as we all, each and every one of us, answers the call to show up in changed ways. So welcome. I want to add my welcome to all the beloveds who are here in the sanctuary, to all the beloveds who are participating via live stream right now in this moment, and those beloveds who take advantage of the possibility to go back and watch the talk and the entire service really over and over. And we so appreciate and are humbled by the feedback, how much that brings in the light during this time. So I don't know about you, but for me, this year has pretty much been, I plan and God laughs. Right? And this week has been so much part of that. And yet, we are here. We are here. Look around this community. It is amazing to me, the strength, the willingness of this community to step in. You know, when we think something is going to happen one way, how people step forward and say, I'm here. I can serve. I can be that light. And so my talk title today is When Love Comes to Light. And I'm going to start off just with a couple of examples. And one of the examples that comes to mind is beloved Mark, who, when he heard that Cerise wouldn't be able to be here, said, I'll come, I'll sing the congregational songs. And so I want to take a moment and really, throughout this talk today, ask you to connect with where you are feeling that you are bringing love to light. Where you're willing to do that. And I am so inspired by Jody, who came to us from Arizona Helping Hands, that I want to have us start. Let's just rub our hands together, as we often do, to just give some warmth, not only to ourselves, but to feel this connection to all of this community, and really feel, as you allow your arms to open wide, that we're not only connecting with this beloved community, with all the members, with all the partners, but that we extend this circle of light out into the world and know, without a shadow of a doubt, that it brings comfort and peace. And let us this morning include all of the beloveds that are serving the children that find themselves in foster care, and all of the children. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to do that. So when love comes to light, I love thinking about light. We know that it has its place in almost all of the, actually I think in all of the faith traditions, right? We can think about our favorite, perhaps childhood memory of lighting candles. If you grew up Catholic, I remember my family, we used to go to the cemeteries around this time of the year and light candles and put them on the graves of the beloveds who have passed. Our Taizé service is all about the light and recognizing the light within me and shining it forth into the world, being willing to share it. On Friday in Sweden and in most of the Scandinavian countries, they celebrated Saint Lucia. Yeah, which is the celebration of light, and it has parades, and then there are young girls that are getting crowned with candle wreaths, wreaths made out of candle. I was looking for a picture for that because I'm like, ooh, the wax? No. But, no. And of course, this year, it's different, right? Everything is different this year. And so we all are adjusting, and so they had to adjust. And I was thinking about the festival of life in our Hindu brothers and sisters, that they are celebrating Diwali right now, right? You might have seen that on your calendar yesterday. Somebody said to me, do you know what this is, Diwali? So yeah, actually, I do know what that is. And so last year, I was so reminded last year, if you were here in our social hall, it was decorated with colors. There were so many colors, so many lights, because we have a rather large community just south of us that used our facility here for their Diwali celebrations. So we learned a lot about that. Yeah, and now this year, this celebration had to look very different because traditionally it's a celebration where the 60 closest relatives all come together, right? And then there's food, lots of food, and then they're decorating with colored flower. They're making beautiful mandalas with colored flower. And it's a family celebration, tradition. And so it has to look different this year. I found this beautiful greeting for Diwali. It is a symbol of hope for humankind. May it bring universal compassion, inner joy of peace, love, and the awareness of unity to all. Happy Diwali. And I think we always celebrate all of the faith traditions. I'm sure you have noticed on our beautiful fabric here, all of the faith traditions are there. So I think we are okay to say Happy Diwali to each other. I think we're good. So let's just do that. Look around and say Happy Diwali to someone. And so we are going to go ahead and take those three components, the universal compassion, the inner joy of peace, and the love and the awareness of unity as our guiding light for today's service. So let's start with compassion. How do you usually think about compassion? Take a moment and ask yourself, when do I feel compassionate? When do I feel that I'm sharing my light with one that is experiencing suffering? And am I willing and able to step into the action that comes with compassion? You see, compassion is not just a feeling. It's not just a quality. It's not just a characteristic. It always, always comes with a call to action. Now, I know that we know that. Everybody who is here in the sanctuary, everybody who is participating online, everybody knows that. And the question really is, how willing and able am I when there's so much darkness, so much conflict, so much challenge in the world as we are experiencing right now? How can I access my sense, my light, my willingness to be compassionate with another? Can I see what we like to call unskilled behavior as really as an expression of one's suffering? When I think about compassion, who comes to mind? Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King Jr., St. Francis of Assisi, Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi. We probably have some more people who come to mind, who devoted their life to living out compassion in the world. And today we're going to look at that compassion has several different aspects to it. It reminds me of this story of Benkal, the famous Japanese teacher, held his annual meditation retreat, and students from all over Japan came to participate. After the first evening, somebody witnessed somebody else in the retreat stealing. And so they went to Benkal and said, this pupil is not behaving according to what we are teaching. He has to go. And the teacher listened to their plea and didn't do anything. Just heard them. A couple days later, the same person was observed doing the same thing, stealing. Now this time, all the other students were so upset that they got together and they wrote a manifesto that if this student is not being excluded, we are all going to leave as a group. And so they brought this manifesto to Benkal. He read it, and he called everyone before him. And he said, brothers, you know what's right and what is wrong. This individual does not. You can go anywhere and study and deepen your practice. He can't. And so I will stay and teach him, even if all of you leave, because that is what's needed. Now, but before I tell you what happened after that, take a moment and ask yourself if you would be in that place. Seeing so clearly something on the outside that is not as it's supposed to be. Am I the only one who has those things going on? You know? I mean, there are things I can point to, and that clearly is not how it's supposed to be. That is clearly not how one is supposed to act. So in this story, the one that hadn't learned right from wrong yet felt so hurt and loved and seen that his need to steal went away. There was no more need for it. And I believe that that is the power of compassion. That is the power of bringing someone into our hearts, into our thoughts, into our light, who's struggling, who's suffering, who's lashing out. There's another aspect of compassion that I love, and that is the aspect that if compassion is only given to others, it's not complete. If you don't believe me, I can back it up. I got quotes. This is what Lao Tzu said. I have just 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, and compassion. Being compassionate towards yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. Now, what does that speak to? That speak to that in order for us to be able to be compassionate with another, we have to experience our humanness. We have to feel and be willing to acknowledge mistakes, times when we have fallen short, times when we have made decisions that weren't for the highest best of all people. So we have to be able to connect and embrace our own humanness in order to be compassionate to another. I have to be compassionate to myself. And the Buddha says it this way: if your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete. It is incomplete. So I did some research on this idea of self-compassion. And there's a whole body of work out there. And what I loved about this particular body of work by Neff and Germer is that they're looking at two different parts of compassion. And they talk about it as a yin and yang approach to compassion. So let's see if we can walk this out together. The yin part, the feminine part of self-compassion, might look like something of accepting my own humanness, realizing that I make mistakes, that I am maybe tired. And from that place, coming forth with actions that would help me feel compassionate towards myself. So how about an example? Let's say I'm burned out. I have that experience of being burned out with all the things that are happening in the world. I might go home and take a bath, light a lot of candles. Where are my candle lighter women? Hot bath, candlelight, maybe a glass of wine. Being kind to myself, giving myself self-care. So that is referred to as the feminine side, the yin side of compassion. And then there's the yang, the more masculine idea of self-love and self-compassion. And that might look, in the same experience, it might look like recognizing I am burned out. And perhaps going to my boss or the person or the organization I work with and say, I need some time off. Do you see that that is a more yang approach to self-compassion? And I think it's important that we give ourselves the time to look at both of them, because that is what balances it. We cannot only always take care of ourselves to be able to give more. We also have to go ahead and build the structure around our life and in our life in order to be able to live a fulfilled and balanced life. Let's see what example you come up with. Take a moment, perhaps allow your eyes to close. Think about a situation, an experience that is challenging, that is calling you forth to care, to deeply care for your own self. And then lean into that feminine part within you, for we all know that we are both feminine and masculine. And ask yourself, how can I care for myself? How can I soothe and comfort myself? As we're understanding that experiencing pain is an inevitable part of being human. And so we feel that this welcoming opens us up to transform and to heal. And now take the same situation and bring forth your more masculine part. It could be experienced as stepping up and protecting oneself, taking a stand. It is here where we can experience healing from just a different part of us. Come back into this room, into wherever you find yourself. And so, I don't know about you, but I'm a lot more familiar with the gentle, kind self-care, and I'm really excited of applying this fierce self-compassion and kindness to my life. Back to our three things that we wanted to talk about today that come forth from the Diwali celebration. We're taking a look at our inner experience of peace and joy. And I ask you to check in with yourself. See if you're feeling more peace. Every time I take the time to look at my own life and how I can make it so that I am able to be the very best me I can be, it brings forth that calmness within. In our teaching, we believe that each one of us is the light of the divine made manifest. Each one of us is that burning glow of love, of peace, of harmony, of joy, of abundance. For when we were created, there was nothing else but the God stuff. And yet, when we are welcoming our humanness, we are recognizing that there are times where I have dimmed my life, my light. Where I have dimmed my light. And so this time of year where it's darker out there, where we are so much talking about the light, let this be an invitation for us to reconnect with the light that is at the very center of who we are. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, says, "The ancients said God creates everything for pure delight." I like that. Oh, I so wish I could have heard him talk, because I can hear him in the words. It makes this experience, it makes this teaching so approachable. What if everything we look at each one of our actions, we're doing it for the pure delight? This service, this gathering, our coming together, pure delight. And that, of course, brings us to unity. It brings us to this experience of oneness that we talk about so often, this idea that there is one power, one presence, and that each and every one of us is part of it. Now, it has been so beautifully walked out for me this week. As you know, we have a reopening team. We meet regularly. We look at what is happening in the world, what is happening with this coronavirus, what is happening here in our area, the places where our beloveds come from. And we have made the decision that this is the last Sunday that we're going to meet in the sanctuary. So we are all going back online. And it's painful for me. It really is, because I was so hoping that all these amazing safety precautions that we have been taking, the plexiglass, the spacing, the wearing of masks, the temperature taking, all of it. I thought that would do it. And of course, it makes me realize that in life, often we feel like we have done everything we can, and still, it didn't work out. And so we decided that for the highest and best for our entire community, we are going to go back full online. The good news is we know we can do it because we did an amazing job opening the sanctuary, did we not? Yeah. And while we had over 100 people come and join us in person here over the last couple of weeks, we are so grateful for the connection that we have continued and established in some cases with people who have been online the whole time. There was never something that was lost. And so that for me is such an experience of unity. This community is walking out unity in the highest and best. Dr. Ernest Holmes says, unity is the basis of all that there is. There's but one God, but one mind, but one spirit, but one power. When I embody myself in my thoughts selfishly, I am separating myself from that which I think would be my good. Oh, there it is again. It is my thoughts that separate myself from my good, my love, my peace, my harmony, my joy, my abundance, my good. You may think this is a very subtle thing and could not be the reason for so much trouble. It is the foundation of most of our troubles. I'm unconsciously separating myself from my good. That is the very core of any sense of separation we experience. And so the invitation for the rest of this year, actually, there are 46 days left in 2020. And who's counting? Here is our work. In our families, our communities, our neighborhoods, we are called to find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry. We are called to rebuild and to be peace. And that is how we bring love to light. I am so grateful you're on this journey with me. And so it is. And so let's do what we do. Let us anchor this knowingness of the light in a prayer. In our spiritual mind treatment, I invite all of the practitioners of this teaching, all the ministers, to please rise and hold this space with me. Let us breathe into the knowingness that there is one power, one presence, that the divine is right here. For where I stand is holy ground, and that is the truth of myself, and that is the truth of every person, every being. Right where they are is the holy ground. And so we open our hearts, we open our minds to fully embody this truth. God and I are one eternally. And as we feel rising up within us that connection to the divine, we know that we can know the highest and best for each beloved that has placed their name into our prayer box or into the chat, that every beloved can be blessed by means of us. And so I bring forth beloved Virginia and Gina, Molly, Henry, and Buzz, Beverly, Bill, and Judy, Angelica, James, and Jeff, Sue, Susan, and Leslie, Peggy and Marjorie, Ron, Ken, Frank, Zoe, Megan, Nancy, Heather, Darlene, Karen, Cerise, Maureen, Elaine, Margaret, Mary Lou. And please take a moment and place your own beingness into this prayer. Know without a shadow of a doubt that the healing light of these words, comfort, and raise up the vibration of goodness in our lives. And as we open our hearts and our mind to this music, we are uplifted, we are blessed. And so there's nothing more to do but to place this word into universal law, to the law that says, yes, yes, my beloved, yes, it is already done, it's already so. And we anchor this truth together as we say, and so it is.